This episode is brought to you by CarterComics.com. It's your one-stop shop for all your comic needs, whether it be graded or raw. Carter Comics has got it all. All you gotta do is go to CarterComics.com, fill your card up with all their amazing comics. Use the discount code FREAKNET, FREAKNET. Save you 10% at checkout. Not only on their website, but also at their eBay account. And the link to eBay can be found on their homepage at CarterComics.com. Again, CarterComics.com is your one-stop shop for all comic needs. What's up, everybody? I am Travesty.
And I'm Cartoon Joe.
And welcome back to another episode of this freaking show. It is the weekly podcast with a little bit of something and a whole lot of nothing. Joe, real talk. Pop-Tart, toaster strudel, which one?
Pop-Tart. I love a toaster strudel, but Pop-Tarts are just so convenient.
Favorite Pop-Tart?
Wild berry.
Ooh.
You?
S'more.
Ooh, s'more is good.
I do like s'more, yeah. Or cookie and cream.
Cookie and cream is good.
Cherry.
I think if they still had an unfrosted cinnamon and brown sugar, that was some butter fresh out the toaster.
The brown sugar ones are fantastic. You know, it's weird because I guess secondly Pop-Tart is it's not what it is, it's the brand.
Yeah.
Like Kellogg's or whatever.
Yeah.
This is actually Amazon's toaster pastry.
Oh, nice.
And you know what? Just as good.
I believe it.
Yeah, I don't like their false advertisement on it, but it is good. Oh. Fun fact, Amazon. As I chew on podcast, but whatever. I'm stressed. Don't advertise a 16-count box of Pop-Tarts when you only got 8 sleeves of 2 apiece. That's not how that works. I'm sorry. Maybe it's just me, but you can't say, oh, we're going to package these 2 together, and that's technically 2. No, that's 1 package. So I bought a box of 8, not a box of 16. You dicks.
Right.
So.
Yeah, but I bet the serving size is 1 Pop-Tart, even though they package them 2.
Possibly. Yeah, I don't know. I just dealt with a bunch of phone calls where I'm not looking at serving size at this particular moment in my life. This is my breakfast. So.
I hear you.
I was going to have eggs, but I didn't.
I had toast and jam.
Nice. What kind of jam?
I had apricot preserves on one and peach jam on the other.
How close is apricot preserves to marmalade?
Pretty close. It had chunks of fruit in it.
I love marmalade.
Me too.
When I go to a diner, and I know it's a good diner because they have that little container of those little rectangular jam packets.
Uh-huh.
I always go for the orange marmalade and the mixed fruit. Those are my go-tos. Anyone who goes for strawberry is boring. I'll just say it. Get bored. We talked about a lot of depressing shit on the last episode.
Word.
And so I want to enjoy this episode a little bit more. I mean, I enjoy all our episodes, but I want this one to be more upbeat and more exciting.
Yeah. Sometimes they're a bummer.
Yeah, I want to do a show where while Dizzle J listens to it on his forklift, it doesn't give him the urge to drive headfirst out of a dock door.
It doesn't give him the urge to try to assassinate a president with a forklift.
Right, exactly. Yeah. God,
Not that he would ever do that.
No, I mean he looks like he might. That dude. Oh God, how do I make the joke? Fuck it. That dude is definitely like what I would expect a shooter to look like.
Yeah, I hear you.
Except the fact I don't think he likes wearing hoods, so that may be the difficult part.
Mm.
Joe, I'm gonna tell you what I'm freaking drinking about.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, I'm gonna drink Shine water once again, but this time it is the peach mango.
Nice. I just finished my coffee. I got none left. And it is the same as last time. It is the modest roast.
I don't know why I keep saying Modest Mouse every time you say modest.
I don't know.
Is that the same coffee shop from Indiana?
No.
No, okay.
No, this was I actually don't know where they are. I know they're in Chicago and they're toward the south side. But they had like a deal with like Walmart or something. And right at the last minute after they'd roasted like 250,000 bags of coffee, whoever was doing the purchasing changed and canceled the order. And so they had a fire sale a couple of years ago now, I think, to liquidate all of that roasting that they'd done. And so I bought a ton of coffee. And one of the boxes of coffee I bought enough to give to each of the Geekcast Live crew. And Ryan and Rob coordinated picking up theirs. Nick never picked up his. And so it's just been sitting here, and I have given up on getting it to him. So now I'm drinking it.
Isn't Nick the closest one to you?
Yep.
Solid.
Yep. Is what it
Excellent.
is.
Excellent.
I'm not mad about it. I'm actually genuinely not mad about it, but it is annoying.
Oh, hey, you know what? You got an extra roast coffee you didn't think you'd have.
Yep.
Did you happen to look into getting free coffee yet as a
no, I
promotion
haven't.
for a show?
I haven't, just because it's I'm working on. It's one of those things that I don't think about until I'm out of coffee, and I've still got like 4 bags.
Gotcha. Well, today I've been watching a lot of a podcast called 6 Feet Under by The Undertaker.
Oh,
or
interesting.
Mark Calloway, for those of you who know who The Undertaker is. Former wrestler, Hall of Famer, over 30 years in the business. A guy who had a character that was so shrouded in mystery. He rarely did interviews, rarely did public appearances. Didn't even do his own shopping. Constantly wore black. Decided to come out with a podcast with one of his buddies where they talk about the business. They talk about stories of the business, stories that people have been waiting to hear about for years. But he also does a bunch of other stuff. He has a lot of other interests like hunting, MMA, stuff like that. So other than talking about wrestling, talking about his career, other than interviewing wrestlers, he also brings on UFC fighters. I think a couple months back, he had a former Green Beret on there, kind of talking about the military. He's a big supporter of veterans and coming home, stuff like that. He got a lot of heat not too long ago from veterans. What did he do? He did something that veterans didn't like, and I can't remember what the hell it was. Anyways, on his episode, they do 2 things. They do a lot of Q&A stuff, and they kind of Mount Rushmore stuff at the end of the day, where it's like, give me your Mount Rushmore of blank. Sometimes it's wrestlers, sometimes it's theme songs, and blah, blah. And Mount Rushmores are one of the things that are always kind of cool because you get to talk about, like, what is your favorite of something? And I figured it'd be kind of fun for us to do that kind of today, you know? And the fun way of doing it is obviously, like, you know, us creating our own. So we each created 3, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I don't know what you really did over there. To be honest with you, Joe, I'm confident in the fact that you may have just you're gonna make yours up as you go, and maybe you do. You're an intelligent man. You can do that. I cannot. We'll find out though, but I'll never know because I don't want to know. Yeah. Like most relationships, keep it from me. But yeah, we'll do Mount Rushmores. We pick certain topics. I made 3. I did my 3. You don't know what they are. You're gonna do yours right off the cuff, and then vice versa. And it's just kind of a fun way for us not only to learn about each other as we continue to grow, not only as brothers now, going on 20 years actually coming up here.
It is.
So officially stepbrothers. We knew each other for over 20 years now. But officially by marriage of our parents, which I think their anniversary fuck, maybe 2 days ago. I don't fucking remember. No, I'm not even gonna call and ask. It's sometime in this month. I think it's in like 2 days, maybe the 22nd. I can't remember.
I can't remember either. I don't feel bad about it, but I do feel bad about it.
Yeah. It's after 19 years. It's like, it happens. So
yeah.
I know it was close to yours. I want to say it's either it's an even number, and it's either 22 or 24, or it could have been 18. No,
Gotcha.
What was yours?
17.
What date? 17. Now I think there's like 22 or 24 some of that. So, anyways, it's coming up. So we continue to learn about us, but this way other people get to learn about us, and people can kind of play along if they want. Go on Facebook and give us your Mount Rushmores for what we're doing here and everything, and let us learn more about you. Because I'm sure there's no doubt I'm going to get a message probably from Jay or Nubby or Pax in my JFW chat saying, like, here's my Mount Rushmore for this. Because it's always nice to learn about people.
Yeah.
Because in a world of hate, let's learn about love.
Yeah.
So, Joe, I'll go first. I'll do the first. We'll just bounce back and forth. So, my first one that we're going to do here would be I want to do Mount Rushmore of comedians. Like, who is your favorite comedian? So for me, my top 4 are Bert Kreischer. Fucking love the dude. Hilarious. Love the guy. I probably watch his Netflix specials way too much, way too often, but they're funny as fuck. Also his the Machine movie is hilarious. Ron White was the original comedian. The first comedian I've ever saw was Blue Collar Comedy Tour with Jeff Foxworthy, Bill Engvall, Larry the Cable Guy. Ron White was on there. Ron White was the first mainstream comedian I saw live in Joliet. Funny dude. Christopher Titus is also one of my top favorite comedians. I know he podcasts now. I know he hosts his own show now. He used to have a show on Fox before it got canceled. But he did a lot of comedy, a lot of self-deprecating, like horrible childhood kind of comedy, darker comedy. Funny fucking dude, though. And the last one for me is Dave Chappelle.
Nice.
I never really watched much of the Chappelle show. The skits I saw were entertaining. I think he kind of opened doors for like Key and Peele and stuff like that. I think it's more of a real, like, I guess like how SNL does skits, Matt TV did skits, and so that, like, Dave Chappelle had his own kind of thing. But the stand-up he did when he returned from being gone for so long are like the best ones I've seen in a very long time. And just like Bert Kreischer, I will watch those on replay a lot too. So those are my 4. What are yours?
Nice. Well, I gotta have. That's his name. Excellent. Shoot, I had them and then they flew out of my head. John Mulaney. I love John Mulaney. He cracks me up. I think he has a particularly good cadence.
I like his voice too. I think his voice is kind of nice. It's it has a humorous aspect to it. I do like that. I had to picture him in my head in order for me to get his voice, and I kind of like him. Yeah, solid dude. Awesome choice.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I'm writing them down so I don't forget them.
There you go.
And I agree with you on if you don't mind me using the same one. Ron White is definitely on my list. I feel like growing up with the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, he was the funniest on that album, and that's comedy special, and he has continued to be one of my favorites, and I love his story of like we actually talk about it on Geekcast Live fairly frequently about how he went and did like a peyote spiritual retreat and quit drinking.
Yeah, it is weird too, because like when you look at where he's at now, and you look at where he started with the first Blue Collar Comedy Tour, and he was an actor, or I'm sorry, a comedian before that, and there are like videos if you go out and look, he has kind of like a mullet, handlebar mustache, and all this stuff, and then once he did the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, he's wearing a suit. he's smoking cigarettes and drinking scotch, but then the evolution of him with his hair getting a little bit longer and stuff like that. And there was like there was one comedy special he did that I looked at him like, oh shit, it's my grandma Bev.
Right.
But then like he was going on, and I think he actually admitted, I'm not sure if it was on Joe Rogan or something like that, but there was one point like he still had like drinks on stage, but it was like tea or something. And people just thought it was like brandy and stuff still, but he was still like tea. But then he went from like cigarettes to cigars, and he went from like whiskey to like gin to now he doesn't drink at all. But the comedy is still there, and that's why it's like his kind of comedy never changed, and that's what I love about comedians like that. Like it's like once you find a cadence that you could do, like you mentioned on Mulaney, it's like there's a cadence to his voice, and it's the punchlines and stuff, and that's how Ron is. It's those quick quip jokes along with his storytelling that just makes it fantastic.
Yep. And that's what I love a comedian who is a storyteller. I love a comedian who well, you know, I mean the essence of humor is surprise.
Yeah.
Right. And so you tell this long-winded story that has a lot of meaning and stuff, and then right at the last second there's a turn and that's what makes it really funny. But then I also think, like, you know, for me, I think a good comedy should also be prophetic.
Yeah.
Right. So and I don't mean like it predicts the future or whatever. I mean that it critiques something about society that helps you see it a different way. And so for that reason, my next guy on my list is Josh Johnson. He's a relatively younger guy. He's a younger black dude. I believe he's on the Daily Show, but I've been seeing his clips a lot on like TikTok and stuff. And he is so good at telling. It's almost like listening to good preaching when he does his jokes, where he'll have like a 5-minute story about, you know, something, you know, like he has one that's I just watched the other day that's about how Nipsey Hussle, when he died, he only had a net worth of about $8 million because he gave so much away back to the community as he was coming up and stuff. And Kobe, you know, Kobe Bryant gave a lot back to the community before he died. Although Kobe was a lot wealthier, but he didn't live as long, you know. But then you have like Drake, who doesn't give anything back compared to Kendrick, who, you know, you got these guys on stage, you know, Kendrick does, you know, during this big beef between Kendrick and Drake, they you know, you've got Crips and Bloods and all these dudes on stage who normally they'd be in the streets killing each other, but they're on stage dancing, you know. And I forget what the joke was, but you know, it's just this great moment of how music and things can bring people together.
Yeah.
Or you could just be in it for yourself, you know. Well, anyway, it's just fantastic. So Josh Johnson's on my list, and then like, similarly, Pete Holmes, who you might know him from the Batman.
Yeah.
But he's taken this fantastic spiritual turn, and he's also, it's like preaching his comedy, and I just love it so much. So that's my 4.
There was one bit that he did. I can't really remember it, but there was one bit he did that made people like, it's like you believe in this, but you don't believe in God. Like, tell me how this doesn't make sense. And it was just, I just remember him yelling like, it doesn't make sense and shit like that. But yeah, he put a lot of his, like, because I think he grew up religious. He grew up like, you know, people call it straight edge, but like clean, like, you know, no drugs, no alcohol and stuff like that. And he is funny. I loved the Pete Holmes show when he had his own talk show and had people on. Yes, the Batman skits and stuff he did. I think other than the Batman, the Sherlock Holmes skit that he did was also fucking hilarious. I love it. I totally forgot about it. If you ever get a chance, look up Pete Holmes, Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
Pete Holmes, Sherlock.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know if you ever saw the I can't remember the dude.
Oh, the British one, the BBC Sherlock.
The Doctor Strange, yeah, with Benjamin Cumberbatch or whatever.
Yeah.
The scene where he's analyzing Watson, and like, you know, like he's getting it all correct, but which, by the way, that is the best Sherlock TV show, hands down.
Oh yeah.
Nothing against Elementary, but Sherlock was way better.
Yeah. At least a start.
Yeah, it trickled off. But yeah. Yeah, when he was doing the analyzing thing for P. Holmes, when he was doing the analyzing thing, Watts was like, "Wow, you are completely wrong." It was, and then fucking Watson had to be like, wow, you got it right, and he's like all excited, and he's like, "Wait a minute, you're lying to me, aren't you?" And he's like, yes, I am. And Holmes like, boom, God. I'm just like,
I am the greatest.
If you know what, if I remember, I feel bad now that I don't remember P. Holmes because he'd definitely be on my. I don't know if I changed my Rushmore if I remember P. Holmes, but he would definitely be like the fifth man kind of. Yeah. Awesome fucking list, bro. What's your first Rushmore?
I'm gonna do best fictional characters.
Oh, okay.
Awesome. Or I guess favorite fictional characters, because it's hard to say, who's the best. But for me, I got to start with. He's become my favorite recently. But with over 1,100 episodes of his manga, over 1,000 episodes of the anime, Luffy, the soon-to-be pirate king from One Piece, is definitely on my list.
Okay. Now, is it when you say fictional? Are we going animated or just overall fictional? Like
overall, but two of mine are animated.
Okay, that's fine. Because I mean, obviously I want to listen to you, but I got to create mine as we do this. I want to make sure I do it the right way. So
totally. So, and that's speaking of animated. I got to go with the greatest of all time, my guy, the trickster god Bugs Bunny.
He is a solid one, right? It's hard not to include Bugs Bunny on a list like that.
Right.
That's childhood though, man. That's the thing. Like that's childhood. Yeah.
Childhood for everybody. I mean, I feel like we all, if you were born in the 20th century, Bugs Bunny is on your list of greatest animated characters and maybe greatest fictional characters of all time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then now back into obscurity. This is a personal favorite character for me. I think that probably I would not be a pastor right now if it weren't for my guy Catterley Bonaduce from the Cleric Quintet by R.A. Salvatore.
I have no idea what any of those words
Nope, and I don't expect anybody to be honest with you. But R.A. Salvatore is he writes in the Forgotten Realms series. Okay. His main character is Dritz Do'Urden, the dark elf with scimitars, which some people may know, some people may not. But at one point, I don't know exactly when, but at one point he decides he wants to write another story about another character whose name is Catterley Bonaduce, and he becomes a cleric in the order of a particular deity. I don't remember what deity it is. And it's my 5 favorite books that R.A. Salvatore has written is the story of this guy. And he goes from being just a really inventive, creative priest to becoming the sole survivor of a vampire attack that comes against his order. And he gains the ability to, like, at one point the church that he works in burns down, and he is able to harness the magic of his deity with his creative idea for flying buttresses, which didn't exist to that point in that universe. Very common for us now in our world. A lot of Gothic cathedrals have flying buttresses.
It's just a nice word. It's a funny word to say, buttresses.
Isn't it great? But he creates it out of magic, and it's just awesome. It's an awesome moment, and I just love it so much. And it's he's just, I don't know. I don't think he's the reason I always want to play a cleric in D&D, and he's the reason that I think I ultimately wanted to go into this vocation. So,
gotcha.
I mean, not that you have a choice when it's this vocation. And ask anybody who's in it. We're doing it because we can't do anything else. And then kind of following that down, I got to say my maybe my all-time favorite fictional character, even if he doesn't jump to mind in my first 3, is Job from the Bible.
Is Job fictional?
Yep. Scholars believe that Job is the oldest, probably the oldest writing in the Bible is Job, and it is a morality play.
Okay. So somebody else wrote the story of Job.
Yeah. As a way to teach a lesson about good and bad and what God is like.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Why does evil exist? Why do bad things happen to good people? Is the question of the story of Job.
Okay. Gotcha. Excellent.
Yeah.
I feel like this is going to be the moment where I'm going to get a message from somebody saying, like, are you saying you don't believe the Bible's real? Which, if they do, they don't know who you are or what you do. I mean, I'll get that question. I'm sure Jay will fucking respond and be like, see, you do agree with me. The Bible's a made-up fairy tale. I'm like, fuck you, dude.
One book out of the whole thing is fictional.
Solid list, man. Solid list. So I feel like Bugs Bunny, 100%. Job, solid. The third one, what was his name again?
Catterley Bonaduce.
I feel like we've spoken about, because that's a literature character you're going with.
Yep.
Solid. I feel like we talked about that because I think that was one of your freaking thinkings not
Probably.
too long ago where we were talking about, like, how is that not a movie yet?
Yeah.
I'm starting. I think it's come back a little bit. Solid list. Mine. You're gonna see a strong theme with it. They're all. I guess one could be considered anime, but one was like both animation and reality. But I go with more of the. So my list is more based on like the kind of like the strong heroes or strong anti-heroes. So first one, Seeley Booth from Bones.
Oh, okay.
Former military FBI agent who teams up with Bones to solve mystery. I love Bones. That's a TV show, and a lot of like who I base this on are like I can watch that show over and over and over and over again, no problem. Bones is one of those, except for the storyline with
oh man,
Passant, I think is the character.
Yeah.
I know way too much. I remember way too much of that to kind of like be invested in that story again, but the rest of it I fucking love. I love the idea of Bones. I wish they would either reboot it or make a movie or something like that. That was one of my top, and probably still is my top favorite TV shows ever. But I love Seeley Booth because it's that male protector of somebody. And like I guess it's weird to like kind of associate with myself, like because there's always these girls that I always have like a crush on, always have an affection for, that they don't really know. I never really talk about it, and I become protective of them because even as a friend, as a guy friend, and that's what Booth did for so long till they ultimately ended up together. Gibbs from NCIS,
nice.
fucking love him.
Gibbs is great.
He reminds me a lot of like my dad. Like he has that stern, like no nonsense attitude, but when you get him by himself, he is more affectionate, more open and stuff. Like it's still weird to hear the man that for so long never said the word love you, because even like when we say goodbye at the end, which was weird because for the longest time we never said it, even at the end of the conversation, like there's always like, "All right, Dad, it was good talking to you. I'll talk to you later," and then there's a long pause because he wants to say love you, but he doesn't want to be the first person to say love you. So it's a weird thing, especially coming from, joining around a family like you have, who's very affectionate, who will hug each other, kiss each other on the cheek, and all that shit. Like my family doesn't do that.
Yeah.
I probably haven't hugged my dad in I don't know 20-something years. I don't think I hugged him when I graduated high school, but we'll say love you on the phone and everything. But maybe if I give him a fist bump when I say bye. Not really an affectionate family that I have. I kiss my mom goodbye, but that's about it. So Gibbs gives me that sense of like, he kind of reminds me of my dad. Like he's a badass in public, but when he's by himself, he can open up and be honest and shit. Third, Man with No Name. You know who that is?
Oh.
It's a character that Clint Eastwood played in so many different movies.
Oh shit, he really didn't have a name. Huh.
Yeah. So so when you look at you look at Good, Bad, and the Ugly, he was called Blondie. Or Angel Eyes, or not Angel Eyes. Angel Eyes was Lee Van Cleef, but you got Blondie and stuff. He never really had a name. And Fistful of Dollars, I think he was called Manko or something like that. There's always these weird names and stuff.
Yeah.
But then there was, outside of spaghetti westerns, once he started coming around and doing like other like movies and stuff, he never really had a name. He was always just a drifter, a guy who came to town, do what he needed to do, and then leave. Known as the Preacher and High Plains Drifter, but that was a profession. He wasn't really a preacher, though, if you watch the whole movie. Yeah. But Clint Eastwood was always that guy for me. I was just talking about him the other day because realizing within the next 5 years, as sad as it is, within the next 5 years, we are going to lose either Clint Eastwood or William Shatner.
Yep.
Because they're both in their early 90s.
And maybe both, because, Eastwood's 94.
Yeah. And Bob Newhart recently passed away, and so did Richard Simmons. So we did lose two celebrities. So R.I.P. to you guys. But yeah, within the next 5 years, we will no longer have Clint Eastwood or William Shatner, maybe both. And it sucks because I still watch Clint Eastwood movies to this day. Dirty Harry, all the westerns. I will not watch Gran Torino again because I do not like the fact that he dies at the end. But Trouble with a Curve, I'm a huge fan of baseball. The fact that he did that movie, awesome. He is without a doubt one of my favorite actors, and the characters he plays fantastic. And the one that I always associate with Clint Eastwood is The Man with No Name.
Yeah, of course.
Finally, for me, either animated or live action, it doesn't matter. Frank Castle, The Punisher, is my favorite Marvel character. I love vigilantes. I love the anti-hero, and I think Frank Castle is that. Again, the whole, vengeance for the family. They took him from him, and whether it was the original Punisher movie, whether it was the remake with a different actor, whether it was the Netflix was the best. I can't remember the actor's name, but he was on The Walking Dead. That I love. I'm glad it's on Disney Plus, and I'm glad I can rewatch it again. I love the vigilante. I love the guy who's, and all these guys, Booth, Gibbs, Man with No Name, Frank Castle. They're all willing to step over that line just a little bit to do what's right.
Yeah.
And I think that's I think it's pretty cool for a character. Now in the world, maybe not in reality. But when you see it's like that's the shit you want to do. But it's So those are mine.
Yeah. Nice. That's a great list, man. I love that.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Made me realize I maybe should have had a Marvel character instead of Catterley or Doctor Who on my list.
I think yours works, man. I think yours is not. Doctor Who surprised me that's not on there.
Yeah, that's definitely
Because the thing is, you could just say Doctor Who. You don't have to pick a certain one,
right? Yeah, I didn't even think about TV really, other than One Piece, just because I've been watching so much.
The moment you said fictional characters, and that's why I asked animated, because the moment you said fictional character, I instantly went to television, because there's so many, and I could have put Michael Weston from Burn Notice, Jim Halpert from The Office,
right?
Ron from Parks and Rec. He'd probably be my fifth man if it came to it. TV shows movies not so much. Yeah. TV shows I'm associated with, like I said. If I went movie wise, it'd probably be Liam Neeson's character from Taken.
Yeah. It's hard not to think Star Wars should have been on there. I don't know.
Star Wars? Yeah,
it's tough. It's tough.
It is 100%. Which one do I want to do next? Let's go sweet treats. I want to go sweet treats. So I'm talking about pastries, desserts, anything you get in the bakery, whatever it is. Sweet treats, what your go-to. For me, first one off the bat, a brookie.
Oh, yeah.
Brownie.
So you're thinking baked things, not necessarily candy.
I'm thinking baked things. Yeah, baked goods. If you're to walk into a bakery or walk into a grocery store and go to the bakery aisle, sweet treats, something that could be considered a dessert or like a sweet snack. Baked goods. Let's go baked goods. But brookies are awesome. It may be a cop-out because it's a mix of a cookie and brownie, but it is a thing and it's delicious. I think McAllister's Deli has it as an option as a sweet treat. Love it. There's a gas station down here that carries not only brookies, but also Big Red soda. Two of my favorite things. And once in a while, if I get gas and I at the pump, not, gastro, but I'll stop into that store and be like, let me grab a Big Red soda and a brookie. Second one, peanut butter blossoms. For those of you who don't know, there's the peanut butter cookie with the Hershey Kiss on it.
Yeah.
Christmas time, that's my all-time favorite Christmas cookie. That's the only Christmas cookie I ever need in life. And they're delicious. I've always wanted them. Somehow never made them myself. Don't know why. But I think somebody just making them for me is delicious. M&M cookie, no matter where it is, no matter what it is, if it's a cookie with M&Ms on it, I'm sold. Every time I go into Subway, which I don't do it too often now because the price of Subway is ridiculous, but every time I walk into a Subway, I'm like, you got M&M cookies? No. Bums me out. If I get cookies from the grocery store, I always look at the Keebler M&Ms, or I look at the Chip Ahoy with the candy bites, which is close enough.
Yeah.
Love an M&M cookie.
Nice.
And to wrap it up, either a Dutch apple pie or a brown bag apple pie.
Nice.
Similar concept. It's an apple pie, but it has like a brown sugar crumble on top of it. And it's my favorite pie. I don't get me wrong. I love pumpkin. I'll do pumpkin. But if it comes down to pie and I had a choice, brown bag apple pie or a Dutch
100%.
apple pie.
Yeah. Nice. Well, I might as well start with that. On my list, I definitely have an apple pie. Specifically, if I have to get specific, it is the apple pie that Maddie's grandma makes.
Okay.
It was actually the only thing I asked for as a wedding present from her.
Nice.
It's her recipe for her apple pie.
Is it like a regular apple pie, or are we talking like a crumble top, or where are we at?
It's a regular apple pie with the crust on top, same pie crust on bottom as on top.
Gotcha.
She uses a specific type of apple, which are Macintosh apples.
Okay.
And but for her, that's the crust is so flaky and but not dry.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. The first time I had it, I cried.
You ever do an a la mode with pie?
Oh hell yeah.
Got to, right? Especially when it's still warm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, nice scoop. I especially like vanilla ice cream for an a la mode.
I would do for me, like you have to either go vanilla, or I think there's like it's like a vanilla bean kind of thing. It's like it's like a chalky vanilla taste. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I think that paired with like a slice of apple pie is fantastic.
Oh, it's one of life's great pleasures.
Yeah, because I love everything cherry, and I can still go for a cherry pie, but when it comes to pie, it's always apple. It has to be apple, and when you put a scoop of fucking ice cream next to it, it's a game changer. Fucking game changer. Solid choice. Yes.
Yeah, and I think kind of keeping it. It's hard not to have this just be straight chalk, but got to have a chocolate chip cookie.
Okay, gotcha.
Because I just feel like, when I think about a cookie, I think about a chocolate chip cookie, even though it's not my go-to cookie, but it is the great cookie of life, I think.
Where do you stand as far as cookies with milk? Do you got it do you dunk it and stuff? Right, got it. When I do the M&M cookies and stuff, I always make sure I have milk too, because I do dunk it in there. And I love a crunchy cookie, but I like it when it's softened by milk. It's perfect.
Same. And then speaking of things I like to dunk in milk, I love like an eclair donut with cream filling.
God. Did I ever tell you the story about me and Sherry with eclairs? So way back in the day, I think I was like 16 or 17 years old, which made Sherry like 14, 15. Mom gave us money to go shopping at Aldi's, which I don't know why you would put the responsibility of grocery shopping on children, but we did. And she gave us enough money to go buy the groceries we needed. So we grabbed everything or whatever. We got all we needed and everything, and found out we still had a little extra money left over. So what we did is we bought at Aldi's, they had a box of mini eclairs.
Oh.
So we're like, we got to buy these too. So we bought everything, threw it in the car. And while driving home, this tub of eclairs was opened up on the center console. And as we're driving, we are shoveling these fuckers into our mouths. And I think by the time we got home, I had just the most horrifying stomachache. And and Sherry lost all those eclairs that she ate.
Oh no.
So as far as I know, I have had eclairs since. I mean, I'm fine with it. Yeah. I don't think she has touched an eclair since that day.
Wild.
But eclairs the fact is, like, when you get a normal eclair and it has like over like thousands of calories in just that thing alone, you know it's good. It's like no dispute.
Absolutely. But yeah, and I feel like so many donuts are based off the eclair. It's just great. It's just a great donut.
Well, it's like what's it, that maple bar? You ever have those?
Yeah, I love a maple.
Delicious. Bar. It's delicious.
Yep. Absolutely. And then finally, keeping it in the classic French baked goods, a croissant. I love a good croissant.
Awesome. I do like that. Do you so when you were mentioning eclairs and you're talking about milk and all that stuff, do you ever so when you have donuts, do you have donuts and coffee?
I'd have donuts and coffee. I've had donuts and milk. I like it both ways.
Okay. I kind of always wanted to try getting like a black coffee, a plain donut, dipping the donut in there, seeing what it's about.
Wonderful. That's really good.
Yeah. I like that. Croissants are interesting though, because I guess croissants I never considered like a sweet treat, but I guess it kind of could be.
Yeah. Well, especially you get like so a regular croissant, it's not super sweet, but it is a dessert.
Okay.
But you can get them with like you can put chocolate in them, you can put chocolate on them. There's this new thing where you bake up your croissant and then you flatten it and bake it again and then dip it in like a frosting, which I haven't had yet, but I hear it's delicious.
And there's like some kind of dessert out there that they like crossed it with a croissant and like a donut or something like that.
Yeah, cronut.
Like a cronut. Okay.
Yep. Stan's Donuts has them.
Never had one of those. I don't know if I've ever seen one of those.
They're pretty good.
So what is it? It looks like a donut, but it's flaky like a croissant.
Yeah. So they take a croissant and they stamp it out like a donut, and then I think they fry it like a donut rather than bake it.
Gotcha. That sounds interesting.
I
bet that tastes good if they like put like cinnamon sugar on that shit.
They sure do.
Yeah. Solid. Good list, man. Good. Any honorable mentions you would have considered?
Honestly, well, yeah, a brownie. I think a brownie would be on there as an honorable mention. Gotta love a good fudgy brownie.
Yeah, angel food cake would have been my honorable mention because Grandma D's the only one that would make me an angel food cake for my birthday because she knows how much I love angel food cake.
Yeah, that's nice. I like that. Cheesecake would be on my list.
Maybe. Oh God, yes. Oh, I fucking love cheesecake.
Yeah.
There's a plain cheesecake with like a cherry topping. I don't need like the chocolate swirl, peanut butter, whatever turtle.
Yeah, I don't need anything special. Just plain cheesecake with a fruit topping.
Yeah.
We know
what's up.
Yeah.
What's your next one?
Let's do, let's do books of the Bible. My top 4 books of the Bible.
Okay.
For me, mine are James, the book of James.
Okay.
Because I used to listen to that on my way to class every day as a college student. Job is probably my favorite book in the Old Testament. Luke is my favorite gospel. And then my other favorite book in the Old Testament is Ecclesiastes, a book my religious studies teacher in college once described as a great book for when you want to kill yourself.
What?
Because it's so depressing.
Well, yeah.
But I love it. Sad is happy for deep people, as Doctor Who once said.
Okay. Oh God, let's
I'm a sucker for the wisdom literature. So you got Ecclesiastes, you got Proverbs, you got Job, and that's them. That's the 3.
All right. Well, so I'm doing this right off the gate. Just gonna show what kind of Christian I am. So I went Genesis because I love. You gotta know where you come from. You gotta start at the beginning. So
I'm a strong believer in that. Know where you come from and know where you're going.
Exactly. Speaking of knowing you're going, Revelations.
Yep.
I love the idea of, hey, listen, this is where we're going towards if we don't change our ways.
Yep. Revelation would be my honorable mention. First book of the Bible I ever read cover to cover.
Really? So you kind of Quentin Tarantino'd it?
Yep.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I gotta see how it ends. See if it's worth reading.
Job. You mentioned it earlier. Again, I didn't realize that Job was fictional in a sense. But a lot of great stories.
Yep.
And wrapping up Psalms.
Ooh, nice. Psalms is a good one.
Psalms is a steady one, And
Psalms is you can use that one all the time.
All the time.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I think Luke would be a solid honorable mention. Any of the you call them like Big 4.
Any of the Gospels.
Yeah. Also solid ones. That's a good one. That was almost like crap. How do I figure this out? But those are the 4 that they came to mind because Genesis obviously, like I mentioned, it's the beginning. Revelation was the end. It's like those are everything in the middle, the fillers. It gets you through the story, but the beginning and the end obviously is the best part. And I love the story of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse and all that other stuff. The dark end, if you will. So good one, man. That's a solid one.
Thank you.
My last one is going to be mixed drinks.
Mixed drinks.
So mixed alcoholic drinks.
Yeah.
A lot of mine kind of come from what I would order at a wedding. So White Russian is on my top. Huge fan of White Russians. Love them.
Yeah.
I do believe they're delicious. I never order one at a bar because it comes out to like $7.50, $8
Yeah.
on the cheap end. But at an open bar, give them to me until I'm done. A lime margarita, not blended, over ice, on the rocks, however you call it, but a straight up regular margarita. Give me a salted rim. You know, I don't need a frozen strawberry or anything like that. But if I'm having some tacos or just having a good time, just give me a regular lime margarita.
Nice.
Basic Bacardi Diet Coke. Huge fan of Bacardi Superior, and I think when you mix it with Diet Coke, it kind of hides the alcohol sense to it, so it can becomes a little bit dangerous. But it's a low-key, delicious drink if you ever want to go out and get a mix. Don't worry, don't get a Jack and Coke. Get a Bacardi, get some rum and a Diet Coke. Delicious. And then the last one for me would be a raspberry vodka and lemonade.
Ooh.
I'm a huge fan of raspberry lemonade. So if you get like a Smirnoff or a UV raspberry, you mix it with some lemonade. It's great for a summertime drink. If I can't get a Bacardi Diet, the raspberry lemonade is my next go-to. And an honorable mention, if you ever get a chance to try Keelakai, it's a spiced rum. But if you mix it with like Coke or Pepsi, it tastes like Dr. Pepper. But I couldn't put it on my big four because I don't drink a lot of Bacardi, or I'm sorry, I don't drink a lot of Keelakai to make it like a consistent, and not a lot of people carry it. So, as if I go out and drink, if I'm not getting like a White Claw or a Bud Zero and stuff like that, I'm getting something that has some calories to it. I'm gonna have a good night. It's gonna be one of these four. And 9 times out of 10, it'll probably be a Bacardi Diet or a raspberry lemonade. But I can never say no to a lime margarita or a White Russian if I'm at a party or being fancy.
Yep, honestly, same.
Yeah.
Mine would have to be my all-time favorite go-to is a Jameson and ginger ale with a lemon and lime twist.
Jameson ginger ale. Okay, very close to like a 7 and 7 kind of thing.
Yep,
it's classy. I like it. See, you got
Jameson's my favorite whiskey, so it's.
You always got to have a classy whiskey. See, now, the only time I ever drink Jameson is in Irish car bombs, which would probably be a solid honorable mention as well because I love them. I don't know why people bitch about them too much. It's like, it's curdling. Drink it faster. That's what
you just got to drink it fast enough. Look,
exactly.
My favorite thing about an Irish car bomb is when you are with a group of people and you're competing about them.
Yes. Yeah, it's well. Then the thing too is like because like when I went to bartending school, I learned to make Irish car bombs as shots. So instead of using Guinness, you use Kahlua. So it's Kahlua, Bailey's, and Jameson. So you can do the shot. It's not as much. It's not as heavy, and it doesn't curdle. So, yeah.
Nice. Then I got to do. I've gotten real into a Sazerac, which is an absinthe and bourbon drink. It's really good. It's really, really good.
That sounds like the next step. It would be like is that a Boilermaker when you drop a shot into a beer?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like, it sounds like that's the next step to a Malort and old style Boilermaker.
It does, doesn't
it? That is rough. So wait, so how do you, is it just equal parts or how does that work?
So you actually, I think you just rinse the glass with absinthe. It's not a lot of absinthe.
Okay. Absinthe is that kind of hallucinogenic fucking alcohol, right?
Yeah, historically. Okay. It doesn't really do that anymore.
Oh, it doesn't? Okay. I've never had it, so I don't know.
So you just rinse your glass with absinthe, then it's sugar cube, cold water, some bitters, preferably Peychaud's if you have them, rye whiskey or bourbon, and then you garnish with a lemon peel. So it's mostly a whiskey drink, but you rinse the glass with absinthe. It gives it a little some.
Okay, gotcha. Chill. You a chilled whiskey bourbon or a room temperature whiskey bourbon guy?
Most often I am room temperature, but it is over ice.
There's I know there's a name for it. I can't remember what it is, but when you mix whiskey with water, I know there's a name for it. That video, I don't know if you had a chance to look at that video, but the video I sent you of the drinks at every 50 states, whatever.
Yeah.
So one of those is like an equal parts water whiskey drink. There's actually a name for it. I can't remember what it is. But at your bachelor party, so we're going back almost 10 years now.
Yeah.
Paul, who was grilling at the time, had this I don't know if it's a stein or a cauldron or whatever he was drinking out of while wearing a kilt. Badass, by the way. He was drinking Red Stag and water, and it was like equal parts on over ice and all that shit. And I'm not a straight up whiskey drinking guy. I had a bad night with Jim Beam one night, and it ruined me for fucking ever taking like whiskey, bourbon shots and shit like that. That's why I stick to tequilas and stuff. Or
how I feel about rum.
Yeah, McGillicuddy cherry and stuff. So, but when I tried that, I was like, man, you could taste it, but it's so cut by the water that it becomes almost fucking scary. And Red Stag is like a smoother.
Oh, Red Stag's delicious. It's a cherry flavored Jim Beam, I think.
I think so. Yeah, it was different, and because it was cut with the water, it was that much more scary. So it's, yeah, I know there's a name for it, but if it's chilled, I could be more on board with it. But when somebody gives me give me a double Jack neat, no, don't do it.
That's totally fair.
I couldn't even put it to my mouth without fucking getting sick. Couldn't do it.
Yep. Fair. And then I am not a tequila guy. Generally, I have started to learn to like the more expensive stuff because my one of my fathers-in-law drinks a lot of really nice tequila, and but generally speaking, you know, if you're going to throw it in a mixed drink, it's going to be in a margarita.
Yes.
And I love a margarita. So, and I will say just a plain Jane lime margarita, blended or not, over ice or not. I love it. Well, no, it's got to be cold.
Got to chill it. Yeah, chill it.
But yeah, margarita is just so good, and especially when it's hot out. And,
right. Yeah,
man. The best. The best.
Margaritas are fucking game changers, man. I think it's because of margaritas and tequilas why I have a fascination for Latina girls. Going back to talking about Diana on the previous episode. Dude, it's just something about a margarita. It's refreshing, and it's fantastic. And the thing is too, again, they're one of those dangerous drinks because you know there's tequila in it, but it's just like this is great. You know, you got the triple sec to make it sweeter. You got the lime to get that bitterness from it. It's fucking fantastic.
I remember when I went to Florence, we, you know, after about 3 weeks in a foreign country, you are just dying for American food. And so the closest thing we could find was a Mexican restaurant.
Perfect.
And it was like an American style Tex-Mex restaurant.
Okay. Salad.
And they had margaritas, and it was the best thing ever. It was just so nice to be able to sit down and order a margarita and like fajitas, and it was great. So especially since like there was a place, it's called the Red Garter. They're still open, they're still around, but they would have chicken wings, and they were the worst chicken wings I've ever had in my entire life. If you're in Italy and you're craving American food, do not go to the Red Garter. I promise you, it's awful.
What was bad about the chicken wings? Overcooked or?
They just weren't cooked right. I don't know if they boiled them. They didn't. It was like they weren't fried. It was like they were baked or boiled or something. And the sauce wasn't right. And just everything was wrong about them. They just did not taste good. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
But if you need to rinse your mouth out, may I recommend my last drink on my list, which is a mint julep.
Classy.
I love a mint julep, especially you get one. Our cousin Justin makes one where he does half mint, half basil. And he takes, and on the rim of the glass, he'll do half the rim, he'll rub a basil leaf on it, and half the rim, he'll rub a mint leaf on it. And then he'll garnish with both. And it is, I don't even like basil. It is a great drink.
I've never had one, but I hear they're, again, refreshing. Like when you look at like margaritas and shit like that, or my raspberry lemonade, it's one of those like, they drank them on a porch in the humidified South for a reason, you know? Yeah. And I, even to this day, I don't really know what's in them, but it definitely be one I'd be interested in trying down the line. It's like I said, it's a unique drink, and it's a well-known drink. I think they drink them at the was it that
Kentucky Derby?
Kentucky Derby, yes. So solid choices.
Yeah. It's a very simple one. It's bourbon, simple syrup, mint, and ice.
And like that's why I wanted this to be my last one, because I knew you were gonna come out with some fancy shit. Like I'm saying, like that dude's either gonna do like whiskey neat and call it a mix, or he's gonna come up with some fancy shit. And he did not disappoint. Solid.
Yeah, I've been into
solid list.
cocktails lately. That was good timing.
Yeah. All right. What's your last?
Now this
Rushmore?
this one is going to be, I think, extremely personal. Because it's what I've decided is musicians or bands that you loved in high school. What's your Mount Rushmore of bands you loved in high school?
Okay.
For me, I got to start. You know, we're talking whiskey. I got to start with my Irish band, Flogging Molly, was my jam when I was in high school.
I think I remember. I don't know if you remember or not, but when I used to have that '91 Pontiac, and we would drive around and shit, we'd always fucking I forgot the name of the song, but something lullaby, Drunken Lullaby.
Drunken Lullaby.
Yeah.
Yep. One of my favorite albums by them. Panic at the Disco. You know, we were talking about Brendan Urie last time, but I loved Panic at the Disco when I was in high school. I still think they're great, but it's it's not the same as when I was a scene kid in my heart.
The was a Teenage Angst era.
Oh yeah, Teenage Angst.
Those bands, which I'm making my list as we're going through. I have one of them on here. I still listen to them to this day because their songs, they're just fucking entertaining as hell.
They slap. Yeah, as the kids say. I think you can still say they slap.
Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, because even I hear it, I'm like, well, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Slapping who? Like who you say taking your aggression out on?
Yeah. Jethro Tull, my favorite rock flute band.
Solid.
I loved them because when I joined the marching band, the year I joined marching band, for whatever reason, that was the theme of our show, was songs by Jethro Tull. And so I got super into them. I got like an album for Christmas by them. I threw it on my generic iPod that year that I got. I can't remember what kind of, it was like an RCA like song friend or something. It wasn't even like a Zune. Anyway, love Jethro Tull. And then my most controversial favorite band, the Insane Clown Posse. I listened to so much ICP from the 6th grade to the 10th grade. Man, it's surprising I don't have white grease paint in my house. And like a Faygo fridge.
Out of all of them, that's one that's the most surprising. Even Jethro Tull makes more sense than ICP.
Yep, a lot of people, it's such an embarrassing thing to like, I think.
You know what? But hey, if you get with the music, I can understand. It's like when you get like businessmen who are listening to like Slipknot and Gwar.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I get it.
Well, and here's the thing, I will say, to defend them a little bit, they are a mostly Christian band, and there are a lot of like it is a community of weirdos who don't fit in anywhere else. And I think a lot of people who are into Insane Clown Posse, like, they would be a school shooter or something if they hadn't found that band.
Yeah.
Because there's so much meaning in their lyrics, and it's such an open and welcoming community to people. And yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people, like, their experience of religion comes through going to Insane Clown Posse concerts. Yeah, and I know that's weird. It is a weird freaking thing, and they are not normal people, but I love them. They're great people.
Yeah. Not only that, they also wrestled in WCW, ECW, and WWF back in the 90s. They have been argued as being a potential for the WWE Hall of Fame, since they did tag in all 3 companies, and they own their own company called Juggalo Championship Wrestling.
Nice. That's legit. Yeah. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. So for mine, which it's really difficult because I've never been a big, like, 3 of them simple. 3 of them fucking simple. It's number 4 that's difficult because obviously in high school I listened to a lot of country music. Sure. And it's like, so as I'm sitting there typing, I was like, okay, here's the guy. No, not this one. Here's this one instead. So I kept having to, like, type it in, erase it, type it in. So I listened to a lot of Toby Keith, a lot of Kenny Chesney, a lot of Montgomery Gentry. But the guy I listened to the most of everyone was Tim McGraw. I think like that was more my music. And then obviously one of my favorite songs, Best Friend, was my song with my girlfriend after high school. But in high school, you know, I listened to a lot more like the rocker songs and Barbecue Stain. was a big one that we listened to. So if I had to narrow down one country artist, it'd be Tim McGraw over the rest of them. Chesney would be a close second. AC/DC, I love from when I first heard it with my mom in the car when I was like 9 years old up to
Oh
this
yeah,
day, as they're still releasing the same sounding music. Love AC/DC. In high school, I still jammed out to that in my car a lot.
absolutely.
Uh, Teenage Angst, I'm going Simple Plan. I think out of all the emo-esque bands out there,
Oh yeah.
I think they're top of the list for me on songs like that I listen to the most. Blink 182 is great. Panic at Disco, stuff like that. I think there was a band, AFI was another band, but that was like later on. But Simple Plan, I had an entire Simple Plan CD I listened to nonstop. Um, my biggest one, I think, is for some reason back then the most hated, but I think the most hated people are starting to become the favorites, and that's Nickelback. Um, I listened to a lot of Nickelback back in the day. Uh, when me and my friends would do Christmas gifts, I gave Derek a Nickelback CD. It was Dark Horse around that time. But yeah, I didn't care what other people thought. They said like, "Oh, Nickelback is the worst band in the world" and everything. It's like they just didn't know what they were talking about. So, so yeah. So if I wasn't listening to Simple Plan, if I wasn't listening to AC/DC, and if I wasn't listening to country as a whole, I was listening to Nickelback because their songs,
Nice.
even today, is still great.
Yeah.
Back then, I loved them too. It's just
I don't know why people hate Nickelback so much.
no, it makes no
Like
sense.
culturally, I think they're great. They're fine. You know.
When I used to drive around in the country with my windows down, just living life, uh, well, the top song I would play is "Teenage Wasteland" Bob O'Reilly by The Who. But when I wanted to like really jam out, Nickelback, Simple Plan, AC/DC, country music, they were always like in the mix. And when I had like CDs, I'd always take one out to pop another one in or shit. Or like when I finally got the iPod, I would just switch the playlist and everything. It was so good. It's like for people to hate it was stupid, but now those people who hated it back then are starting to fucking love it. Yeah.
Yep.
So, how do you feel about doing this, Joe?
I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, yeah, we could do more of them. I'm seeing like a lot of people do like a lot of these things that I'm not gonna take credit for it because we never did it. I think you guys do it a couple times. Well, I know you definitely did the draft thing over on Geekcast Live recently.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot
And
of
I know
people do that.
yeah, a lot of people are doing that. It's like I want to kind of do that here too. I think we may like throw those in from time to time. There was this well, and the reason I want to do this Mount Rushmore thing is because I think next season this may be our weekly thing. So like this week, this season we're doing freaking drinking. I think next season like we'll do Mount Rushmores for things like once in a while and stuff like that.
Yeah, that sounds
But
good.
but it's just a way to learn, Like we learn, like you enjoy, an eclair, a margarita, listening to ICP and reading the book of Luke, Job. So um, I think it gets people out there who wants to learn more about us, learn more about us. Like I said, for any of you who want to give us your Rushmore than anything we did, share it with us. We love hearing from you guys. So, Joe, what are you freaking thinking about?
What am I freaking thinking about? I feel like the thing that I am freaking thinking about is and I thought for sure it would be there when I got to it. So I'm all caught up on One Piece for the most part. I think
Even
I'm
the new
maybe two
ones?
weeks behind now.
Even
But it's hard to binge it when there's only an episode a week.
yeah.
And so what I've started to do now is to there's been a lot of Dragon Ball Z that's been popping up in my feed, and so I've been enjoying not a ton of it, but the occasional episode of Dragon Ball Z has been great. I've been really they have recently wrapped up a saga. Of course, it's another tournament of power situation where they're trying to see who's the strongest. And Goku has gotten to the point where he's on par with some of the gods in their universe, which is just fun. I love the idea of a story that's all about always improving. There's always another level of improvement that you can get to. You just got to work for it, right? And that's the message of the story, and I just love it. And actually, the creator of Dragon Ball Z recently passed away. but like a month ago, 2 months ago, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just some Dragon Ball Z, some anime has been great. What about you? What are you freaking thinking about?
Well, I was gonna mention like like the getting used to the sleep pap machine and all that stuff, but more so than that, I'm excited that Deadpool's coming out this Friday. Actually, I think it's coming out on Thursday. I think it's like coming out the 25th or whatever. And I keep debating on whether or not I want to go to it or not. I was actually looking at movie times in Bridgeview to see if maybe you wanted to meet me halfway and go to it and everything. But
nice.
It's just like it's definitely too late to schedule a day off from work to go do it. And I know by the time the weekend comes around, people are going to be filling up those theaters to see it. So I'm probably going to wait till the excitement dies down, but I'm really excited to see it. And I just watched, I think they called it the last trailer to come out before the movie came out. And it definitely, it's more of an emotional trailer that came out because I think it shows X-23 in it. And there's one scene, it's kind of a gut punch moment, but she's talking to, Logan, and obviously it's different worlds, different universes and stuff. And so Wolverine looks at her and says I'm not the guy for this or whatever. And there's like a silence, and she looks back at him and says like you weren't, he wasn't the guy either. But then he became but then you watch it, like if you see Logan, he became the guy. He just wasn't the right. Because I think what he says, he's like, I'm not the right guy for this or something like that. And she looks at him and says he wasn't the right guy either.
Nice.
And I'm getting fucking goosebumps just thinking about it because it was such an emotional moment and a very emotional trailer, and they as we talked about Logan and stuff a couple episodes ago, we talked about the Deadpool Wolverine movie coming out a couple episodes ago, and we're talking about the villain that they're displaying and how I imagined she was going to look, and they didn't make her as grisly as I thought they would.
Yeah,
like she looks like a younger CGI'd of the I can't remember her name, the girl from Doctor Strange.
Maximoff?
No, who's the bald head of Doctor Strange?
Oh, gotcha. Oh, you're talking about, shoot.
High Priest. It's not the High Priestess, it's the Master.
You're talking about the Sorcerer Supreme.
Sorcerer Supreme, yeah. So it's like a younger CGI looking her. So yes, they took the clone aspect of Professor X. So they actually showed her in the trailer and showed what she's capable of doing. But they definitely made it very emotional, which I think is solid because obviously they're looking at this potentially be the end of Deadpool in the MCU, and you're watching it and you're looking at it and this is also I think the first time where they really made it look like a MCU type movie with the production of it. If you haven't seen it yet, I definitely would check it out. I think you just Google like final Deadpool Wolverine trailer or something like that. There's an emotion to it that gave me fucking goosebumps. I have to go see this again. If I take a fucking sick day off work to go see it, I will. Because I'm looking, and the Thursday at 3:30 showing down in Bradley, there's only 2 seats out of the entire theater that have been sold so far.
Nice.
So I really want to go fucking see it, but I don't think I'm going to take off work to do it. I'll probably just, wait it out and everything. But I'm really, I have not been this excited for a Marvel movie in a very long time. Yeah. So
I hear you. Honestly, same.
It's definitely gonna be wild, and I'm also gonna be pissed because it's probably not gonna hit Disney Plus for a year.
Right? No, of course not.
Hey Joe.
Yeah.
Every week our listeners catch Cartoon Joe here on this freaking show, but if an hour of Cartoon Joe just isn't enough, where can they go?
If you need more Cartoon Joe, you can find me over the Geekcast Live podcast at violentpress.com. You can also find us on Facebook, iTunes, Spotify, and Twitter by searching Geekcast Live.
Perfect. Guys, make sure you follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, just by searching This Freaking Show. If you like listening to our podcast, continue to do so wherever you find podcasts, on Spotify, iTunes, Podbean, wherever you find it. Search it, subscribe to it, hit the notification bell. You could watch our podcast if you care to watch us instead of listen over on the Freaknet Studios YouTube channel. Make sure you do subscribe and hit the notification bell over there so you know when the video podcasting come out and also when our additional podcasts come out. Me and Joe have been kind of talking and coordinating. We're thinking about maybe eating some burgers, maybe some hot dogs, and drinking some alcohol that's representative of different states in our United States. So why the hell not? We'll get that coordinated. We'll get that figured out because why not drink and eat hot dogs or hamburgers or whatever?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So make sure you subscribe wherever you listen or watch and everything. Guys, that's all I got. As always, I am Travis.
And I'm Cartoon Joe.
And thank you for listening to another episode of this freaking show. I'm out.